Yeah, it sure did, and we're looking at what could be one of the matches of the competition so far now, with Orgless taking on Reason Gaming. We're expecting a close one. We've seen some very strong performances from Reason Gaming recently. Also, a few wobbles over the history of the tournament that we've watched. Orgless looking very solid, except when they came up against FM. So, and it's going to be interesting to see how they rebound from this one. Will they try and make it another quick 2-0, or see something much more interesting? Well, we shall see. We're going to see the first of the two maps. We've got Cash coming up. We've got Mirage is going to be the other map as well. So we are saved a cobblestone for the only match of this week. The 9 PM game involved Infused, who are now well and truly gone from the competition, so not going to be seeing any more Infused action as far as we're aware for the remainder of the group stages.
Yeah, you did bring up the maps that score's going to be cached, which is actually Reason's pick, so a fairly interesting one coming in from them. And of course, meaning Orgless is going to be playing over on Mirage. Well, is there anything we can really look into those map picks? Because we've seen a good chunk from both of these teams. They've got their own reputations. Each individual player certainly has their own story. So I'm curious if there's anything we can really touch on within the next kind of 15-30 seconds before we get into this one.
I would say not a whole lot, because both these teams, we've seen them put in strong performances on Cash. We've seen plenty of it, so you would expect that even if it's not your map pick, you would have half a clue of what you're doing, which you might not have, for example, on something like Train. I guess Mirage as well is another one of those sort of heavily played maps, even though it's maybe ends up falling by the wayside compared to something like Cobblestone. But no, I don't think there's a whole lot we can read into it. Both these teams will have played the maps, they'll know them, they'll be well drilled on them, you'd expect. So I would think we're going to see a fairly even contest on both sides.
Yeah, so it's certainly going to be an exciting one at that. But Crossy, I'm gonna let you lead on to this one, as I haven't made aware there's a slight issue with something. So our production work on that one, I just want you to really talk us through exactly what's kicking off in this map so far.
Yeah, sure, no problem. You can see the fairly slow standard build up, heading over towards the A side. You've got Mighty Max up on the boost as Weber, the first to make a frag on Pulse. And we got a full rotate coming in, so if they do want to push into A, it's going to be a fairly quick retake coming in. And straight away, Weber with 2 frags, Keita with the frag, and it's Mighty Max, though he comes up huge, but the defuse does come in. Mighty Max tries to do what damage he can. He's taken Sliggy, and I think it might have been Dipper on the last 2 standing. And down to pretty low HP, but doesn't pick up any extra frags, and it is a fairly comprehensive retake from Reason Gaming. Now, they had all their players over towards the A site, and even though it was fairly expensive, a few players getting dropped, they were able to pick up the defuse and just had too many numbers, and leaving Mighty Max very isolated over towards the A storage. So they were kind of going a little bit too slow at it, Orgless, I think. If they'd sort of gone in and pushed from it straight off the bat, maybe it would have been a different result. But in the end, Weber was able to pick up the first man, and they kind of thought, right, we're going to have to commit to this, threw everything in, and by that point, all of the Reason assistance was on hand, ready to go. So something that we're going to have to watch out for. But expect the Reason now we're going to piggyback through and get themselves the next couple of rounds on the board. Going to take it 3-0 most likely with the weapon advantage that they have. Orgless did get a bomb plant, so they may be going to be thinking about third round force going for the AKs, which is still a possibility, and all things that they need to think about. The second round it is then, so again, a little bit of a patient build-up, but that does not last too long, as Reason Gaming don't want to mess around. They do go and get a couple of frags over towards the B site on the rotate, but it is the second plant on board for Orgless. Sliggy ends up cleaning up, and it is a flawless victory in the end. But it's the money that Orgless are worried about. They've got that plant, they've got 2 lots of $800 straight off the bat, and this is now their chance to be going for a full buy if they want to. All got 5 odd K there or thereabouts ready to work with, so they could go for an AWP, but it is going to be glass cannon, and they do in fact go for the AWP. So Rattlesnake, glass cannon, no armor whatsoever. And as for Reason, well, they can choose whether they want to keep their weapons or go for an upgrade, and they have stuck with their weapons. So got Weber and Dipan with the 2 variants of the M4. A couple of SMGs as well. Sliggy with the FAMAS, sort of meeting in the middle with the weaker and the more economical of the rifle buys, if you want to call it that.
Of course.
Are you back now?
I should be good now. I'm hoping production have worked on it, so we'll
Cool.
see. Let us know if I am deafening you guys. Hopefully it's not. But of course, 1 minute 20 left on the clock now. Time going to be ticking away, and as you did mention, they've got those rifles to play with now, and they've got that AWP to try and utilize on Rattlesnake as well. So it's all going to come down with how he can play that one out. Will he be able to find the picks, or will it be a nice and slow round coming out? And we do see PT just going to be playing around mid there, seeing if he can find a frag potentially through that smoke. As now Depan certainly set to find a frag on towards release, which he will of course connect. Now as Rattlesnake finds himself knocked down to just absolutely no HP, and well, this is before Weber picks up a frag straight off the bat with the M4 as well. So some beautiful work being done by the Reason Gaming side as they start to edge themselves out of lead. It is going to be a 5v3 situation for them now. Rattlesnake still sitting on 19 HP, and well, Pulsey tries to take a gun battle against Depan. Doesn't quite work out in his favour this time around, as Max will eventually find the trade, but not before Weber can find himself a frag on towards Rattlesnake, leaving just Max now all alone. A 1v4. He's going to be trying to make this one happen, but he really has no opportunity to try and find these frags. So we're looking towards Devon. Will connect the shots on towards Weber, and now he's hungry, looking for Baif, but he needs to find this frag nice and quickly here, as his problem is Keita is certainly going to be hot on his heels.
He sure is. It's like Keita actually dropped back the other way, which might have, if there was sound information there, the Mighty Max might have known that he had the chance to go and make his way into the site. He's got the bomb in hand as well, so Plant's going to come in, and that's another 800 bucks in the account if you are thinking. But no, he wants this round. He's going for it. Sliggy might have a chance to stop it, and does. So nice work in the end from Reason Gaming. Mighty Max probably should have gone for that Plant first off, got the money in the bank and gone from there, and that maybe would have given Orgless a chance to put a buy together. But instead, you could see the confidence on him. Sort of one of the younger players in the lineup. I think he might be the youngest player in the lineup actually, and he was thinking maybe I've got a chance at making a play here, and I may be thinking, 2020 hindsight and all that, he would have had a better chance of making a play had he got the bomb down and not had to worry about that. But you never know, and I think that's definitely advantage Reason. You got to get a 4-0 lead on the board right off the bat, and that's a very nice little position to put yourself in on CT side. And if you can lock it down, and it's much tougher to put the pressure on a T economy that is on the CT, especially when the loss bonus starts to rack up. You see guys can keep buying ACOs, but you see again they are very solid on both of the sites. This time Orgless all going out en masse, which is something that they were maybe struggling with over towards the A site. All go piling out onto the site, get cut down very quickly. I think they were only able to drop Baith, who has to rebuy. For the rest of them, Keats up there. He's just dropped an AWP. He's on over 4k with a weapon in hand. Goes for full utility, full out head armor. And Reason are in control here. Orgless haven't got an AWP to try and make a pick from somewhere. Not that they've made a huge amount of impact with it early doors anyway. It's all going in the direction of Reason right now.
Yeah, Reason looking very, very strong. They find themselves 4 rounds up, and what's going to come down to this one, of course, though, Orgless now presented with another opportunity to try and really take these gun battles, and release will open things up with a frag on towards Keita. Weber answering back straight away with a pick with that AWP on towards Pulse, though, so already equalising things back to a 4v4, and this does actually kind of hand a bit of an advantage to the Reason Gaming side now, especially as Sliggy somehow manages to find a pick on towards Rattlesnake, so it's looking like a pretty bleak sight for the Orgless side. They're taking a good chunk of HP damage, release being knocked down to just 79 HP, and Max finding himself at 58. PT, on the other hand, looking fairly strong, still got, taken not a single slither of damage just yet and has some utility to play with. So still a potential for him to try and have an impact into this round as Reason Gaming. They find themselves 4-man strong. They've got so much utility to play with, all of these rifles to toy around with, and the AWP is still going to be in the hands of Weber. And Max, he's getting himself in position over towards that A site, and we do see a couple of players, edging their way in towards that A main as well. So Orgless certainly going to be trying to hit towards that A site. But it all comes down to the execution. They need to find these frags thick and fast, otherwise they're going to find themselves getting that site retaken from them, and well, that's going to be the pretty bleak future for them so far as the Mortars will roll. The Flash is going to be rolling in. For Baith opens it up with a frag on towards Max straight off the bat, finds himself a second as well, not before release, does manage to trade it back in the end with a frag on towards him, but then Depan, he's ready and waiting, pistol in hand. There is no question about him hitting that frag, as he will of course connect the shots, and he will fall, which means Reason Gaming, they start to take a bit of a 5-0 lead here.
Yeah, they do, and it's a very strong performance from them. And for that round, Reason went just a little bit more aggressive. They went and peeked in a couple of angles out towards the A, and it took a couple of very crisp shots from Orgless to end up picking up what they did. Release up in the mid, good reactions, flicked around. You had 2 CTs staring down the barrel at him, and he was able to pick up one. But Reason showed on both positions actually. Over towards the B site, Weber with the Orc was getting into an aggro spot to try and make something happen, and Reason just have that extra bit of confidence, and they aren't afraid to go and try and do something a little bit different. And now we'll probably see them drop back to their standard setup, not spring any surprises. But what it does mean for Orgless is they've got to watch their angles. They've got to be careful. They can't just try and peak these angles quite as comfortably as they would have liked, because they don't know if there's going to be a CT facing them or even pushing them, which is always a worry. And they've got very little utility aside from Mighty Max, nothing that they can use to break them into the site. And see straight away a bit of that utility does go flying out towards the mid area, and whether anything comes to that, well, who knows. But Orgless going to try and maybe use that to take the mid control, allow them to get themselves into A. But Reason they're playing for that mid control on the rotator. Sliggy, he's got 2 players below him, and he takes the bomb down. He's looking out towards the yellow as well, and he does end up picking up that frag on Pulse over towards Squeaky. And for these 2 players, they have gone for the wraparound. They've taken the mid control, but it's far too late, because that pincer movement they're trying to work, and the A split, it fails miserably if your A players don't make anything happen. And they just walked straight out. Neither of them checked up top. They probably couldn't actually. I think they're probably caught up in the flash, and it's another poor execution of an A strat.
Yeah, the big thing there was the duo, of course, of Keita and Sliggy. They just did so much work, just really bringing a whole new meaning to 2 for Tuesday, suffice to say, as they find themselves frags all across the board there and really just pin down that site. And we do see Release is going to be trying to make a little bit, some new happen here as he goes over towards the B site. Tries to connect a couple of shots there, but nothing going to hit just yet. And well, of course, it is notable, Orgless still throwing back to those pistols now, so not much for them to really try and play with here as we go into the 7th round on the board. Whereas in comparison with the Reason Gaming side, they're looking so strong. They've got everything they need to play with here, all the utility and all those rifles, and well, it's only echoed by the fact that Depan picks up his first frag on towards PT there. Well, it looks like more are going to be rolling in. Release, of course, tries to find a shot with a deagle, but nothing quite going to connect. Pulse, on the other hand, will find himself a frag on towards Keita, so at least 1 frag will come in for the Orgless side. But even then, will it be enough? Well, Pulse is going to be answering that question, finds himself a second with a deagle as well. So he is actually going to be doing some sweet work with it, but even then he tries to take the long-range Angel up against the palm, and it will of course fall apart for him, because the one thing you don't want to do with a deagle is try and out-tap one of those rifles at that sort of range. And well, it will mean Reason Gaming, they storm ahead with a 7-0 lead, and Orgless certainly looking like they don't really have a bit of a opportunity to answer back so far, as they seem to be looking a little bit lackluster almost.
Yeah, there definitely is a big feel of that, and I guess if you look at maybe that pick that Release made a couple of rounds ago, if you get these players that keep trying to make those picks and do end up coming away with them, but they don't then translate into rounds, then yeah, I mean, it's going to be quite demoralising. There's KT, picks up PT straight away and moves away, knowing that he's got players above him probably hearing the footsteps, and again, this is another chance that they're trying to work from that gets cut down straight away. They're already up against it. Release, so he's got himself into the B site. Maybe this is the chance. Just got to make sure they do make something count from this one and do get their first round on the board, or it is just going to be a real frustrating day at the office for Orgless, so they just can't get themselves into things. Mighty Max might have to pick, and I'm thinking Reason with this, the way that they are building up this momentum, maybe should chill out a little bit on these pushes, because they're locking down the sights when they've got the numbers in there and they've got the rotates. If they start losing that, they stop having the numbers, then maybe that's something they've got to watch out for.
Well, it does highlight a little bit of a boat of energy to the Orgless side, suffice to say, as they of course need to be putting a bit of oomph into their play now. They need to spice it up with a different ingredient, something unique, that's something that Reason Gaming might not be expecting. And well, if they are going to be trying to play to counter those pushes, then it's certainly going to be helping them out, of course, with that unique attempt at trying to really just change things up, as they are 7-0 down. They are going to be looking to pick up their first round here, and well, the cards are certainly going to be well and truly stacked in their favour as they find themselves in a 4v3. But unfortunately for them, they're pushing towards their unfavoured site here. 2 CTs ready and waiting on the B site. Release, of course, will take down Baith though, and it's all going to be on Sliggy. He's standing in the smoke, not quite going to see Mighty Max yet. He's actually going to find their frag somehow, as Sliggy just peeks out at the worst possible timing, and suddenly it's all on Weber. It's just him, a 1v4, and Reason Gaming just looking like they're caught in a bit of a bleak situation, and Orgless finally looking like they're going to be picking up around here.
Yeah, that's going to be their plan, unless Weber wants to go on a bit of a tear, but no, he's going to just sit back and keep hold of this. But we've talked about it so many times in this Masters, I'm kind of getting bored of saying it, but it's one thing that happens when you've got economy as a big part of a game. Got to watch that reset. Now for Orgless, that's going to be crippling for them. It's probably going to set them right back, actually, because where are they sitting at? Okay, so they got $100 from there, so even if they don't end up picking up this round, they've already lost PT. They could probably buy again the next time around, but it is going to be pretty scrubby. So yeah, it's Bit of a worry from Weber. Oh, he could lose that orb, and he has. And oh, that's well, you'd say that's expensive, but he's still got 11k. Reason absolutely fine as far as their economy goes, and they're going to be looking to force this reset right away now if they can.
Well, that certainly is going to be it. As well, the worrying prospect for Orgless, you say, is going to be that key word, the reset. And well, if they does get delivered, it will probably be certainly on the cards for the Reason side. That's what's going to be motivating them as they go into this 9th round. Then it's going to be a pretty brutal one at that for the Orgless side as they find themselves with an economy, just completely crippled. And well, that's why they really need to pick up this round. They have to put their all for Orgless to try and just pick up this 9th round. Otherwise, things are going to be extremely uncomfortable for them. And well, they're already going to lose touch in that first half sort of in this map 1, and that's going to be the big thing. And well, so far it's been a bit of a slow start, so it does bode well for what they're trying to do. And a Molotov certainly not going to be paying off in their favour so far, as that doesn't quite go in the originally planned direction. They're just going to be clearing out those close angles, and Release and Max just looking like they're going to be edging their way closer and closer towards that B site. But Tapan, he's ready and waiting, AWP in hand, and he could certainly beat the gatekeeper of that B site, just really aided by that rifle, of course, up on Baif as well. He's going to be looking, if he's shot now, this could be absolutely devastating, but he's not quite going to clock onto what's going on. We do see a bit of a boost going on now, potentially, in towards Vent, and this is where Orgless might potentially excel here. If they go for a bit of a counter boost through Vent and do that kind of reverse mid-take, then Sliggy could be caught potentially really off guard here. It seems like that's going to be the case as Max flies out of Vent and finds himself a frag, but not before Depan is able to find one frag with the AWP either way, and Keita able to peek out and find himself the information. So the game is certainly up. The jig is it's been done, suffice to say, as now Reason Gaming are fully aware of what is about to go down. Orgless going to be trying to push into it either way, and well, they have to find these frags, otherwise this retake could be painful. Well, Pulse, he's going to be doing the job. He finds the first frag on towards Weber. Depan, he will of course find a pick with the orb. Well, now Keita, he goes in, tries to go for a big spray down, doesn't quite connect it though, so he'll of course only pick up one before Release will find him, bringing it straight back to a 2v2 situation. Now with 15 seconds left, Orgless, they need to get this plant down, and the Molly is going to go down trying to deny it, but it's all just going to be a little bit too late as the bomb will of course go down. Now it's going to be ticking away slowly but surely. And well, Baif, he's just going to be creeping around up towards Highway there, seeing what he can and can't get away with here, seeing where Release and Pulse potentially want to contest this site. And well, they seem to be playing their cards very much close to their chest. They don't really want to overface and just allow Baif too much freedom to try and find this frag, until they will peek out and find one frag straight off the bat, tagging Dipan down to just 34 HP, and it's looking so rough for him now as he's going to peek out again, and Release will connect that last frag towards the Orgless side, and they will of course manage to edge out their second round on the board, and that reset is suddenly going to be off the cards.
Yeah, it sure is, and I think unlucky for Dipan. I think he might got the tag on Release, unless it was Baif that managed to pull it off from his little move around. But yeah, I mean, from everything we've seen so far, you would have thought that would have gone in the direction of Reason. Yeah, no, it is going to be another round on the board for Orgless, and their finances are suddenly not looking too bad. Pulse is going to be on 7k, so they're trying to get on top. Dipan gets one frag before he's taken down, so that's a good trade in favour of Orgless. You would arguably rather have the extra man on your T side. Oh, sorry, the extra man on your CT side. You'd rather lose one on T side, and when you get a trade-off like that, it usually favours the terrorists, especially if they want to try and push into this site, for example, over towards A. It's been the rotates coming in from Reason that have managed to do the job a little more than the players on the site, but to be fair, the players on the site have done pretty well so far as well, picking up their frags. And for Reason, I'm going to be panicking at this stage. They're probably thinking if they can get themselves to 10, 11 rounds on CT side, that's already a phenomenal performance from those guys. So they're not going to be too worried just yet. Still not doing too bad on the finances as well, apart from Sliggy, who's had to go for the Deagle. And actually, no, ignore me, because they might be in a bit of trouble for a rebuy this time around. So you want to try and lock this thing down, take it to an 8-2. And push through, get another couple, get themselves to double figures as quickly as they can. As the push is now coming back into the A site. Now they managed to get a bit of success from here in the end. Whether it will continue though, and will Reason have a few things left in the tank, then working with the mid-rotate type setup, which we'll probably touch on at some point as to how effective that is. And 20 seconds left to go. There is not a lot of time. And Sliggy's going for the push behind. He knows that he's now making his way over towards B. Rattlesnake misses the pick. And they've got rotate coming in from Keita as well. So they're just going to try and slide as much as they can. Blade gets one before, and the bomb has been dropped over towards the site. They need to try and get it. Rattlesnake and Pulse, so working well as a unit, able to cover a couple of angles at the same time. So that was really well worked in the end. And all three players on such low HP that one nade from Sliggy might do the damage, and with just a Deagle in hand, he is tempted to go for it. Has the chance for a collateral. They were lining up for him, as we could see on the X-ray, but he does not come away with it. So it looks like his opportunity has gone. maybe knows how low everyone is, and he's just going for frags. Does get one, taking down Rattlesnake. They will save his weapon, no doubt, if he has anything better than what Pulse and PT were holding. So the AWP does get saved. That goes in the direction of Pulse, actually, rather than Rattlesnake. See if he can make something happen with an aggro pick. And it is going to be 7-3, still in favour of Reason Gaming, who are now forced onto upgraded pistol at best.
Yeah, so it's going to be a fairly unique situation. Of course, the reason, as you say, put on the back foot now. They've got those pistols to play with, and Orgless looking a little bit stronger now, really starting to make this one happen. They seem to have found the antidote to the illness that was, of course, inflicting them early on as they found themselves, you know, very much just drastically dropping rounds. And it's looking really good for them. Well, Max and Pulse going to go straight away on towards the A site, just barreling out for themselves 2 easy frags there. Not really much contention coming in from the Reason side with those pistols. Not really utilising those close angles, which is certainly not what we were almost hoping to see with these pistols. Unfortunately, Slee's going to get himself forced off of Carl, not really allowed to play those angles, as he, of course, is going to be sitting there patiently with a P250 in hand. And it's just going to be him, Baif, and Depan just trying to really at least find a couple of frags here. That's going to, of course, be the ultimate aim here. If they can just maybe find 1 or 2, do a little bit of damage, then it'll certainly help them out. But it seems like they're not really going to be able to connect anything, as Orgless is just being really surgical about this push, backing out in a really safe manner here, and just really allowing themselves just to walk away with potentially not much damage being done here. As it looks like Baif has been sorted out. He will find 1, so there's a good shot coming out from him, but not before release. Of course, snipe straight back in with the trade frag. And well, it does seem like we actually see one player caught up the action. Max is actually going to be dying to the hands of the bomb there, and Depan, he's up and close. But Release is going to flick around and catch Hidhez off guard as well. So Orgless, they add their 4th round on the board, and they're looking so strong now. They really seem to know exactly how to push Reason Gaming's buttons and how to start taking a bit of a lead here so far. Only 3 rounds left in that round difference, and well, Reason Gaming really starting to up their game a little bit now.
Yeah, they sure do. That was a decoy destruction from Orgless going up against upgraded pistols at best, but and they were looking much more solid. And you know, at times throughout this tournament, I've sort of commented on how Orgless just seemed to effortlessly pick up frags. And you know, we weren't seeing that during the early stages, but now suddenly we are, and they're floating around the map, and they've got this extra bit of confidence. And, suddenly it's them to make all the entry frags and never go there straight into B. That's going to be a great opportunity for them to work. Kita is in a good position to maybe rotate from behind, but the Molotov's going to force him out, so he's got to pop the vents if he wants to go in that direction, and instantly will give away his position. Bomb gets planted over towards the site, and see for Reason Gaming, are they going to think about some kind of elaborate hold type setup? I think the longer that they hesitate in making the move, yeah, straight away, going for the save. They know what's going on with the economy. They've got absolutely nothing, $100 each, so they could go and get themselves a cheeky Nando's if they want, but that is about all that they can afford with their money. So no such luck. I'm just going to try and get some exit frags. There's Weber straight away taking down Mighty Max. He goes for a peek, and Release quite wisely decides that that is not where he's going to go. But maybe giving away information that it's going to be a save. Orgless not going to chase. 7-5, and you know, suddenly this is looking much better for them. They'll be thinking, can we push this one through and win out half? Reason can be thinking, yeah, 10-5. You know, we've had a little wobble, but if we can get to 10-5, great result for us. So, you know, I think the result with this map is going to come down to what happens in these remaining few rounds.
Yeah, it seems to be like a bit of a, a troubling situation for Reason Gaming. They're sort of like, when you buy a brand new cookie, it's really nice and warm and gooey, but eventually it kind of dries out and gets nice and crusty. And well, that's kind of what we're witnessing with Reason right now. They're kind of just drying out, seem to unable to be able to make anything happen here. And Orgless, on the other hand, just being a bit of a brand new, whatever you want to call it, really. They just seem to be bringing it to the table and finding their frags, and Sliggy will find 1 with a HE grenade, but even then, is it going to be enough now as it falls back to a 4v4? And well, the advantage will fall to the Orgless side here. They've got that AWP in hand on towards Pulse as well. Release, Max, and Rattlesnake just raring to push on towards this site, but they seem to be a little bit undecided yet. Instead, they're going to be looking like they're going to be trying to take some mid-control. Pulse just eagerly eyed, waiting to see if Sliggy perhaps going to be facing out towards Connector. And well, if Sliggy does, that'll be a unique decision coming in. Always potential for him to find a frag here if he can hit the shot. But at the same time, he has been watched just straight up there by the AWP there. And it looks like he's going to be shoulder peeking out, so going to be contesting it just a little bit there. But even then, he's just going to be playing his game nice and safe. And that's really what Reason need to be doing at this point. They need to play the angles nice and safe, not overface it, play as a team. And well, there still is potential for them to really pick up this round here. And we'll try and get themselves one step closer to that 10-5 if they can play this one just a little bit more, with a little bit more infused teamwork, suffice to say.
Well, who knows? Time ticking away, and it's looking fairly solid over towards the B site, actually, if they want to go and attack there, and that's exactly where they are going. And Sliggy, he's getting on his bike, he's going to be there in time, potentially, but Pulse, he's got the one frag, but Sliggy with a spray down through the smoke, he's just guessing at where these angles are coming from, but he's done some serious damage to Mighty Max as well. He's down to 1 point of health, I think. Now Sliggy's going to try and get his frag on Rattlesnake. Rattlesnake picks it up, but Sliggy done some serious damage. I mean, 2 frags for him. I think it was 3 actually, and he did such crippling damage to the other 2 that that allowing his teammates to come in and clean up afterwards. So Reason really dug their heels in and ended up picking up that one, and it's going to take a drop, I think, coming in from these guys. No, they have managed to put it all together. So still Orgless, their economy is keeping them afloat just about, but it's just a little bit tetchy as they now try and win that one back and just try and trade back. It's kind of 1 or 2 rounds will completely balance out whether this has been a good or a bad round for both of these teams still.
Well, of course, that's going to be the big thing. Reason Gaming somehow managing to squeeze out around there, really making us eat our own words, suffice to say, as they walk away with a bit more of a lead now, making it 8-5, and they are, of course, going to be looking to make this one a 9-5 fairly quickly, as they do have that double-up play coming into fruition. Weber and Dip aren't going to be the ones utilising that one now, as they try and just make sure they can lock down these areas of the map, make sure no one is going to be pushing into unsuspecting Rattlesnakes trying to weave their way through out and towards mid there, as base certainly has been spotted out. The close position of Keita coming into a successful play there, as now it's all going to be on Rattlesnake, and he's just doing so much work there. The trades coming in plenty now as Pulse over on the A side, just a catalyst waiting to kick off as he finds himself a frag as well, just completely taking control of that one, dominating over towards the Reason side, and suddenly they're left once again on the back foot here. Dipan and Sliggy, they've got that AWP and that rifle to play with here. They certainly have, a potential to try and retake this one, but even then, Sliggy now, he has to find this frag over towards A main, and well, that's of course going to be the big thing, peeking out towards Rattlesnake. HP certainly going to be on his side as he will of course connect that frag, and does look a little bit better 2v2 being the situation now as Max gets himself knocked down to just 45 HP. And Sliggy finds himself another frag, just really making these frags appear out of thin air, and that's what's going to be working as he goes for the 3rd, and he's going to somehow find it. Some beautiful play coming in from Sliggy, and the defuse, of course, will roll in, nice and quickly coming in. Well, Reason Gaming, they managed to pull another round out of thin air.
Yeah, and pretty much what you can say about Sliggy in recent times, and came through and got himself 2nd place at Epic 18 after coming out from the shadows effectively. We hardly saw anything for him, hardly any hours before that point. Now he's coming in and being the difference maker in a team including the likes of Weber, for example, who you could maybe describe as one of the strongest players in the UK, kicking around at the moment, and in recent times as well. It's very impressive from Sliggy, and I'm not sure how many hours he is putting into the game now. I should probably have a little look compared to just before Epic Land, but he's producing the results, and we haven't even really seen him with an AWP in hand yet, where he can really light things up and take control of things. Maybe we'll see that in Mirage potentially. He takes down Rattlesnake. I think he knows where Release is as well, and he ends up picking up the frag. So Reason, after having a little wobble, they're back at the ascendancy again, and look far more comfortable in terms of making these frags. Again, it's another sort of flash push out of A, which looks a little haphazard, but Keita also gets flashed off, so my Max taken down to 11 points of health. Go try and get the plant down. That Molotov is just a little wide. Dipan with a frag, taking down PT as Mighty Max with the fire. Sliggy trade straight back, another fire kill. Like watching an episode of Game of Thrones as Pulse takes down Dipan, and Pulse now he's going to try and go huge with 3 frags, but no such luck, and it's that man again. What a surprise. It's Sliggy bringing things home, puts the double figures on the board, and Reason take a 10-5 lead into the 2nd half, and surely they've got to be very pleased with that performance.
Yeah, they're going to be very happy about that when they managed to bring it back. The cookie certainly looked like it was crumbling early on, but they managed to really just get some gaffer tape on it, repair it, and just make it nice enough to eat once again as they find themselves 5 rounds up against Orgless now. Orgless certainly thrown over towards that CT side, now going to be having to try and make the best of this one, of course, as Reason Gaming, they find themselves 5 rounds ahead and now going to be playing on towards their T side. Well, we have seen both of these teams with a fairly strong T side as well as CT side, so I'm not going to write off either team just yet, as Orgless, they certainly have potential to put off something really great here on the CT side. And well, the same thing for Reason. They are of course going to be running straight in, Glocks in hand. Release of course will find one, tapping away with the USB there, aided by Pulse as well, who's going to find himself one on towards Sliggy, but not before Weber now going to be doing a lot of work, finds himself one, Bafe finding another. Rattlesnake though, once again with the USB in hand, finds himself a frag on towards Keita, handing the advantage to the Orgless side, but it's going to be the Glock of Bafe looking to try and settle that one as he tags Rattlesnake just down to a 1 HP. And he's certainly going to be looking like he's going to be burning away after that one, as the smoke of course will roll down. Looks like they have quite spotted out what exactly is going to be going on at that bomb. Looks like it's going to be making a bit of a movement over towards mid there. So an interesting decision coming into play, and well, Max is just ready and waiting to meet Weber and really just deny that opportunity from taking place. And well, now the game is up, the jig has been done, and Orgless are certainly aware of what they tried to do here. And Weber now stuck in fence. He's not got too much HP to play with, so if they are going to make a decision, he needs to make it now. And it looks like they will actually be able to make it towards the A site. Somehow Orgless have let them just, escape this one alive, and it looks like now it's all going to be on Max to try and hold this one off as they creep their way carefully, just precariously through A main there, going for those peaks. And well, Max, he surely knows what's about to go off, but he needs to find these frags. It looks like Weber's just going to take his head clean off. Game of Thrones all over again, as you say. And now it's going to find themselves just in a rough situation. 2v2 being the scoreline. Rattlesnake, he peeks out wide, and it's going to mean Weber is going to connect himself another frag on the board. And suddenly Pulse is left all alone. A 1v2, of course, being the situation as he spots out Baif. But is that going to be enough now, as Baif just going to be playing so patiently around quad, making sure that he doesn't quite overface her, and that's going to be the big factor here. If Reason Gaming, they just play the patient game, they don't overface and they don't do anything too ridiculous, then this should be such an easy round for them to pick up. And well, as you say, that Weber, he just delivers another killing blow to the hands of Pulse, as the bomb, of course, will be ticking away, and Reason Gaming win out that pistol round, making it 11-5.
Yeah, super comfortable stuff in the end. I pushed in, and it was a bit backwards and forwards over towards the B site, pushed in through the mid, and Max called it. I think Orgless played it the right way. They weren't super fast to rotate out towards B, and if they were, Keita might have done some serious damage, especially with Rattlesnake down to 1 HP. He might have picked up a couple of frags, and they could have pushed it back towards B. So I don't fault the way that Orgless ended up playing it, but what happened to Max kind of highlights the problem that you do have on CT side of Cash in the first place, is that you can find yourself isolated, pinned in on a site, and then by the time you get the call in for the rotate, it's just too slow. And if you do get your rotators picked off one at a time, which did happen in the end, then it can be just that little bit too comfortable in the early rounds, for example, where you haven't got the utility to allow someone to push up for a certain angle. Then if you're there at the truck, or if you do push up highway, then you are sometimes exposed from players at certain angles. Dipan takes down Rattlesnake, Weber takes down PT, and they now have a choice where they want to go. Dipan, with the man advantage and the weapon advantage, could just float into B and take out the 2 players in there, or try to if he wants, and I think that is part of his thought process. But also maybe they want to join his teammates and bolster them as they go towards A. Mighty Max is left there again. He's trying to do some damage. He does take down Weber, has a chance to maybe make a play on the AK, but he doesn't. Instead, he's trying to slow things up, and there's some half-decent work there to a point. But bomb does still get planted, and he doesn't delay too much. Pulse catches a nade. He's down to 22 points of health, so he cleans up after already doing that pretty impressive damage. Dipan in the mid has a chance on Rattlesnake, isn't on point with his AK, but does spray around and picks up the frag very comfortably again against the pistol, and it is going to be 12-5 in favour of Reason. Looking fairly strong, but this is what you'd expect. Pick up a couple of rounds after you win pistol, and they are, if all goes their way, hoping to take it to 13-5 for the first buy versus buy.
Of course, that is going to be a pretty bleak situation for the Orgless side. They have a lot of work to do if they want to bring this one back, as well, 13-5 certainly not a scoreline that you look at and go, well, that's pretty picturesque. It's really not. It's going to be a pretty uncomfortable one for them to find their way in, but can't write them off completely. They still have some P250s to play with here. There's always potential for someone to go absolutely huge. Well, we did see Max find himself 1 frag there, so he's going to be, of course, waiting patiently, but the molly's just going to be raining down Hellfire all over the place, as Max will peek out, tags down 1, but even then, is it going to be enough as our Baif? He's got 20 HP to play with here, but still looking fairly strong as he has that rifle and armor in hand. And well, it's going to be a game of patience here from the Orgless side now. They can't overface with those pistols, as they will simply fall. They need to play these close angles, but even then, Keita, he just comes in and just like a wrecking ball takes down Max and Rattlesnake, looking to make that a 3rd and a 4th, and it seems he will. But unfortunately, the 4th doesn't quite connect itself, but somehow Release actually manages to pick up the frag. But even then, 13-5 being the scoreline, we gave Orgless a shred of hope there in that eco round, but even then, nothing was able to connect. And well, this is where the hope really belongs. This is where we really start to see if Orgless have what it takes to bring back this series, as they bring themselves back on towards that buy round now. They've got 3 M4s to play with, make that 4 now on Max, and they've got an AWP on Rattlesnake. And well, for Reason Gaming, they're going to be keeping the Galil on Sliggy and getting 4 rifles up to boot on every other player. So it's going to be fairly comfortable for them as well. And it's going to be really interesting to see if Rattlesnake can make a big impact with that AWP in hand.
Well, we can try, but we've got to work out where he's going to try and open up any angles, if anything. I mean, let's see. So Rattlesnake at the moment sitting towards the back of A, so he can look towards highway and kind of shut down any kind of mid-control monk, so don't get pincered over towards the A, which we shall see how this pans out. I would kind of like Now, from what I've seen of this map throughout this tournament, is that it tends to work better if you've got a player in mid rotating out towards the A, rather than have your A players looking towards the highway and sort of controlling the mid, because it's too easy to get yourself trapped on the site, and maybe this is something that Reason can work with if they want to stack up over towards that direction. But we shall see. We might be wrong, and it's also a fairly solid B stack coming in from Orgless, so they're making that call. They're thinking it might be a B play, and potentially, and I guess the trouble is if you've got a couple of players over towards B, you see number 7, so that's PT. He's now drifting back towards the mid, just making sure he's available to rotate in whenever there's some kind of play. And with 35 seconds left to go on the clock, it's maybe a chance for a move to come in. And Rattlesnake is getting on his bike. If he pushed into mid, he might have had a player waiting there, and that could have been pretty dangerous. That could have been the AWPer out of action. But instead, they now have 20 seconds if they want to try and make a play. And Release, he's got 2 before the spray down comes in. PT up top. So his position will be known. He will have been called off, and you see he drops away. And they've got to try and get themselves across to the site here. And it's a bit of a botch play coming in from Reason. This hasn't worked as well as they would have liked. They do get the plant in, so that's money. But Rattlesnake, he steps out, peeks the angle, and takes Baith down instantly. Nice work there. And Dipon with the frag as well. I think this is the difference we're seeing from these UK teams compared to what we're used to from the past, is that they are just on point. They know they've just got the sixth sense as Dipon takes Rattlesnake down at the back of the site. Mighty Max is going to get this defuse in, but that was close.
Yeah, cutting it very close there, and you have to point out the great play with that HE grenade. That was a really smart thing to do. Just lob that over towards the bomb, make sure that he's always got the potential of picking up that frag on Rattlesnake. And, well, you have to say that if he picked up the frag on towards Max on checkers there, then they would have actually picked up that round. So cutting it very, very close, really down to the wire, as you say, as the scoreline is, of course, made to be 13-6. Orgless trying to edge this one back. They do, of course, make that one happen, but still, the phrase to mind is to bite the skin of their teeth now as go into round 20. Reason Gaming still find themselves on a comfortable buy round here for the most part. And the same thing really for Orgless as well, aside from the fact they're going to be playing with 3 Famases. And, well, you know, they have their benefits of time, but they also have their negatives. And, well, Baith already going to be kicking things off with a frag on towards Rattlesnake, taking his head clean off. And we do see a bit of aggression already coming out from the Orgless side. They are, of course, going to be taking A main, but their problem is they're going to be giving it away, as Baith and Dupont certainly going to be hearing that one from under boost, and certainly going to be getting an idea of just exactly what Orgless are up to. And, well, the information game is going to be strong here, and it's going to give Reason Gaming just that one step advantage, that one, one foot ahead, just to work out exactly what they can do here to counter the Orgless playstyle and potentially pick up their 14th round on the board. And the time going to be ticking down. Nicely, just so patiently peeking over towards B, seeing if maybe Release is going to be over-facing with that Famas, of course, but nothing just yet. They're going to be playing the nice and patient game, and, well, that's what we need to be seeing from both teams here. We don't want to be seeing any rushed-out plays, any rash decisions. It's going to be some nice calculated Sergil style of Counter-Strike, a style of Counter-Strike that will, of course, allow you to win games, and, well, hopefully that's, of course, why we're going to be seeing it, as both teams are going to be looking to close out this map fairly quickly, but especially Reason, as they find themselves only 3 rounds away from finding themselves in that situation.
Yeah, they do. You look at the time and it's ticking away again. They're going to leave themselves not a whole lot of it to try and make a play, and they're now switching up with 30 seconds left to go. So they got to go balls to the wall as they go and make their play into A. They've got the split coming in, and they've got some utility to use. And Mighty Max, he does pick up a frag, but his position has been known. So they've got an interesting little position here in the A storage, and there just isn't enough time to make this happen. The bomb is going up highway, so this is a good chance, and maybe they've caught him out of position actually. But Mighty Max doing what he can before Weber eventually picks him up. 10 seconds, 9 seconds, 8 seconds. It's ticking away as Pulse cleans up, and Reason are just leaving it too late. That's the second round in a row where, from a winnable position, they're just throwing it away by delaying too long, not giving themselves enough time to execute a proper strat, and they're having to kind of force it and not covering their angles properly.
And of course, usually now they find themselves in a bit of an awkward situation. They can't really buy into this one, so it's going to be that 5-man Deagle buy on. Well, for the Orgless side, they're still looking fairly comfortable. In fact, they've got pretty much all the rifles they could possibly want to play with it, aside from that Famas on Release. But even then, he's not going to be too unhappy about that one, as PT already flies straight into the round with a frag on towards Dupont, finding an advantage already for the Orgless side, just really proving they want to just completely demotivate Reason Gaming from being able to make anything happen here in this eco round. And the tags are going to roll in. They're going to be trying their best to try and find something with the Deagles, but even then, nothing quite going to connect. And the one tag they do find only hits for 1 HP, so not even a scrape of damage there, as Pulse will be trying to find a frag as well. He will actually find himself getting knocked down to 62, but a frag will fall in for him, so that 40 HP certainly going to be made up for by the fact that he can find that frag, as it's looking a little bit more awkward now. Reason find themselves in a 3v5 to try and make the best of these Deagles, but even the close angles aren't working out in their favour now as PT and Pulse pick themselves up another frag respectively, leaving just Keita now, Deagle in hand, certainly going to be out hunting for blood on towards PT, but he's just going to be set up and waiting. He's going to be holding this corner. The flash comes in perfectly, really helping him out here, taking down both Keita and leaving that bomb, of course, trapped out in the open. But it doesn't even matter, as Reason Gaming have all fallen knocked over like chess pieces, as Orgless find themselves on their 8th round, looking to extend this to their 9th round now. But for Reason Gaming, it's another opportunity that's presented itself to try and really edge this one out to their 14th round. They have those rifles to play with, but there's no more time for any mistakes. They have to play this one perfectly, and well, that means no more timing mistakes, no more positioning mistakes. They need to find their frags, and they need to use their brute force aggression and skill to make that one happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's shown that they've ended up just a little short of ideas on their T side. And, you know, maybe they've had an opportunity to have actually put things in their favour there, but in the end it's a trade-off. And, you know, maybe that still slightly favours Reason, but not as much as being 4v3 with the B side open would have done. So, you know, all this a bit of controlled aggression just about pans out for them, but it could have ended so much worse. And it just shows what one flash can end up doing. And nearly swung things straight in favour of Reason Gaming. You know, for Orgless, they drop this one, they can still continue to buy into the next round, you know, pending a catastrophe at least, and you know, still give themselves a chance. But if that happens, Reason Gaming, one round away from guaranteeing overtime. You'd think they'd try and make something happen. PT through the vent, he's giving the game away. They know where he's coming from. Release down to 22 points of health, and Bathed with the smoke has the opportunity coming from behind, and maybe has a chance to pick it up. But Release, he does some damage, as does Rattlesnake. So again, opportunity missed. Release just delays just long enough in the smoke, and something that Mighty Max was perhaps struggling with over towards the A site. Release shows him exactly how it's done. Just keep out of trouble. Don't commit until you have to, until you know that you've got teammates there supporting you. And another very solid hold from Orgless. Nicely done.
And you do have to really mention that smoke play was just so beautifully timed. He had it right down to the second, so he knew exactly when he had to face out there with the support of his teammate, as you say, but also exactly when he was getting pushed from behind, so he got through the smoke quick enough to allow Reason just really no opportunity to try and contest this one, as they of course were going to be pushing towards the headshot. And as we do roll into this 23rd round, Release already opening things up with another frag on towards Keita, just proving how strong he's playing today, as Pulse finds himself two beautiful frags there with a HE grenade. Release finds himself another headshot through the box as well, just annihilating these Tech-9s, denying him any opportunity of playing those close angles, as Pulse now just runs them down to the last man, and that is that one done and dusted. Orgless, they echo their 10th round onto the board now, and they seem to just be able to walk all over the Reason Gaming side, and for Reason, they seem to be able to struggle to connect anything, and or another opportunity, of course, has fallen into their hands. It's going to be those 4 rifles and the AWP up on Sliggy this time around. Well, we can only hope, because it's getting a bit of a heart-wrenching tale at this point, that we can only hope that they can really start working out what their issues are and start repairing this one, because we saw such a dominant Reason early on, but now it seems to be a bit of a broken toy effect coming into play here, as they just don't appear to be able to make anything happen at all. There seems to be no consistency, and just no style and finesse in the way they're playing.
No, they had a wobble, didn't they, in the first half, and maybe this is just another one of their wobbles, and then we had to start bringing things home and finally wrap this map up. I mean, any predictions, Flakes? How do you see this one going?
I feel like potentially Orgless, they've got the, they've got the willpower and the passion to try and bring this one back now. They're just playing so strong, and well, they've just completely taken the wind out of Reason Gaming's sails. They've given them no opportunity to try and fight this one back, no opportunity to, re-find their lost morale. And well, that's the key thing. If you can really just demoralize a team like they are right now, then there's potential Reason won't pick up another round this game. But of course, we can't really predict too far into things. The reason they do have these rifles to play with here, and nothing unfolding just yet now, as Weber going to be patiently waiting, and he's only just literally millimeters away from Max, so there's always potential for him to be looking for that frag.
Yeah, for sure, as Weber gets flushed out of the squeaky door. He's not going to be peeking from there just yet, so not to stack up and think about an A strat. PT, the solo player in mid, so he might get wiped out pretty quickly if Dipan decides to step in there, but if not, he's the rotator as Mighty Max. He gets one, but he's traded off, so in theory that would have been in favour of Reason, but it's been nice work, and it's back to 3v3. PT's hammered down to super low HP, well, he's caught on the fall by Bait. And maybe this is a chance for Reason. 2v2. Both these players coming in on the rotate. Pulse is going in solo. So it's all going to come down to what Pulse can do. He gets one for Baith, trades away. So that was a decent little trade. Bit of a baity play, but Release able to grab Baith. And now it's Release, the standout player, who's starting to take charge in this second half at least, and edging his way up the scoreboard. Still got a long way to go to overtake Pulse on 24. And Pulse 24 frags, where are those come from? He's been kept pretty quiet. We've not been saying his name all that often, but he's really leading the charge.
Well, he seems to just be able to consistently pick himself up a frag every other round. And, well, the same thing can be said about Release, but potentially not necessarily frag related, but more the way he's finding his frags. It's, a very precise style. He's just going from head to head to head, and well, that's why we're seeing just such a a strong ratio coming in from him. You actually see his, I think, 71 or 72% headshot ratio coming in for him so far in this second half, and well, that's just what we've seen him do. We've seen him just go from head to head to head, picking off those heads, making them just roll away, and well, that sort of precise style is, potentially one of the reasons why Orgless are picking up their rounds, as we do see Pulse and Release just firing on their cylinders now. Well, of course, they are being aided by the likes of Max and Rattlesnake and PT. They're going to be trying their best to really up to the table as well and really hit that mark. And, well, the frags are just going to roll in for the Orgless side. They're just making the best of every single opportunity that presents itself. And, well, now they're going to be looking to repeat that similar thing as we do roll into our 25th round. Just 1 minute 10 left to play with for both teams here. So Reason certainly need to make a decision very, very soon on what they are going to be doing, because they do look fairly indecisive so far, actually running back towards T-spawn. Already Rattlesnake, though, going to find himself getting punished. Just a slight bit of overface there in towards Vent. So DePant going to be picking up that frag, handing Reason Gaming just a bit of an advantage going into things.
Yeah, it sure is, and maybe they need to make this one count. They had an opportunity last time in the last round, and maybe this is another one. Pulse, so back of sight and Release up close. Now the rifle up close to the AWP distance. There's a couple of times, a couple of maps where that can really pay off. Inferno being one of them. Pulse, he's got one, he's got two. Release gets the opportunity to push through and do some damage behind, and there's Release cleaning up as well. So it's 2 for Pulse, 2 for Release, 1 for PT as well, and that was so smooth. I mean, I know these guys have played together fairly often in the past, with a history going back, 5-6 years, maybe even longer, between Pulse and Release, and those guys worked that to perfection. Pulse with the AWP doing damage just on his own, and then he's got Release, who is pretty much playing a free role. He just puts himself right in the mix with those on-rushing T players, gets himself a couple of frags, and that's aggressive, that's confident. And here we go again. PT tries to get aggressive against 3 players and does some damage to Keeps as well. He's down to half, but again, it's another one playing maybe into the favour of Reason Gaming. Not that that's counted for a lot, the way the second half's going.
Yeah, of course, it has been a pretty rough one so far, but we find ourselves in a bit of a 4v4 here, and well, Kita has been tagged down to just 57 HP, so not got too much to play with, but the utility is certainly still on the Carter. Both teams here, they still have a good chunk to play with, as they also have, a decent amount of time, and well, Baith going to kick things off with another frag on towards Pulse, so some good stuff coming in from him now. The consistency there going to be key, as Baith always seems to be able to find at least one entry into each and every round, so it's certainly going to be a certainly props for him, suffice to say now, and you are going to be just waiting to see what it seems Reason are going to be opting for. It seems to be a bit of an A-hit. Well, Max, he's been spotted out, but the smoke going to be helping out, but it doesn't matter, as Keita's going to go for the spray, and he's going to connect the frag, but not before Rattlesnake can come in with a trade across the other side of the map on towards Weber, and now he's going to be holding that close corner, looking for another frag, and well, will he be able to make it? That's the question, as he finds the first, looking for a second, going to hold down the spray, and he's going to find it! He's going to find every single frag there, with the aid of Release, who's going to deliver a HE grenade just to support him, and that is that one done and dusted. 13-13 is the scoreline, as we roll very, very quickly into round 27. And Orgless, they've come back from absolutely nothing. They've done the unthinkable, and now they have potential to pick up this map.
Yeah, don't they just? Reason going pretty much on a decent buy. They've got AKs all around. A bit head armor missing on DePant, not wholly utility, so by far is this an ideal situation for them going forward, and they just can't find themselves around. Again, they're out onto the A side, but it's the retake's been doing the damage for both of these teams actually on their CT side, and Sliggy trying to make something happen onto the highway, but he just can't. Right, Max got a chance to make 3, and he does make 3 before eventually he's caught, and Rattlesnake takes White Max out, as he's now won the spray down at Baith in the last man standing at the back of the site, and in the spray down against Pulse, he can't come away with it. Orgless have taken that lead 14-13, and we have a look at the cash for Reason. Well, they can't even put a full buy together.
Yeah, and of course that's going to be a big thing so far. I think Orgless, they're on their 9th round in a row, or perhaps even 10th, I think. They just managed to string every single round together, really just demoralise Reason Gaming, stop them from making anything happen at all. And now they find themselves 1 round away from claiming that so dearly wanted match point. They've worked so hard to get it back to this point, and it's only worthwhile for them just to keep on fighting for these last 2 rounds and try and close this one out. Of course, as Pulse, he's going to be beating Baif very, very quickly, looking for a frag. Baif actually going to be taking him down, making some good use of the Deagle there, as Depan finds himself one as well. So Reason Gaming certainly having a bit of a wake-up call now. They seem to be reacting just a little bit more towards the Orgless side as they find themselves 2 beautiful picks to kick things off. But Orgless still certainly not out of this one just yet. Going to be spreading the numbers across both mid and each site retrospectively. So it's not going to be just the end of the world just yet. Now Sliggy just patiently over towards Toxic, just biding his time, seeing what he can and can't get away with, of course. And well, it looks like he's just going to be able to sit there and just relax and see if anyone potentially is going to be facing him. And Release looks like he wants to peek the corner. The flash, of course, going to roll out. Sliggy forced just to get himself back in towards the corner there. But it all comes down to whether he decides to reface this angle.
He may be tempted as well, especially with the numbers advantage. Even board him actually and see what he decides to do at this point. Actually going to be the point man. So they try and make their entry. 30 seconds left to go. So by Reason standards, this is quite an early push. They now make their way around and realise that the site, with a cheeky little clear at least, is pretty much open and left for them as they go and try and make their plant. For Orgless, decision for them. Will they save? Will they try and retake? Well, a couple of players left have got 12, and actually the Release is on 12k. That's whatever loss bonus he gets if they don't pick up this round. There's another 9k in the side, so they may well be tempted. And they are stacking up, trying to make this retake, try and make sure that the overtime is guaranteed. But with the way that they're playing with the time, it's going to be too late. PT gets one. Weber trades it straight back. Sliggy able to get released. He's on the spray down looking for Mighty Max, who does end up getting caught. And Reason Gaming bring it back even. 14-14. Wow, who would have expected this?
Been such an intense game so far, one of the closest matches we've seen in the UK Masters to kick things off, and we've seen some fairly intense overtimes one at that, and well, that's going to be the big question now, Crossy, is will this game go to overtime, or will either team manage to just sneak in those last final needed rounds, with of course round 29 being where we're at right now. So certainly only 2 rounds left to take place here, and it's all going to come down to perfection. That's what's going to be needed, and to kick things off is going to be Route Snake tagging down Depan and Baif there, and well, Sliggy going to find himself tagging down as well, but he will manage to connect one frag on towards Race, so a little bit of a revenge frag rolling in there as Rattlesnake finds himself a frag straight back on towards Baif as well. So it's looking fairly rough right now for both teams. Going to be a 4v4, of course, as that clock does tick down. Well, Reason looking fairly spread out here. Bomb going to be going over towards that A site, though, as Sliggy looks like he's going for a much more aggressive lurk this time over towards that B site, which is, a good call from him, I think. Really just changing things up, making sure that he's keeping Pulse on his toes, and well, that's really what's going to count. But Rattlesnake is there, ready and waiting, goes to the peak and tags him down even further, and that's going to be, of course, the uncomfortable factor as Pulse through the smoke tags Sliggy down to just 27 HP. Sliggy just collecting all of the bullets right now, really just catching them all, and that's certainly not going to be paying off for him just yet.
No, sure is, and Reason have got to be wary about this reset because they've not got a lot of cash to play with. So I think if Orgless end up picking up this round, then we are not going to be seeing an overtime, and I would suggest probably a narrow 16-14 of Orgless. But we shall see if Reason pick this one up. Then it is completely wide open for Orgless. They can bite. It's not necessarily going to be the best buy, and they're going to rely on Release, putting down a drop or two to make it happen, and they might have to sacrifice somewhere. But now the push comes in from Reason Gaming over towards the A. They know that their life is on the line here. Reset is possible, and they will not have a whole lot to put a buy together if they don't pick this one up. Whether though gets the opening frag, taking down Mighty Max. Now it's a chance for Plant to come in. The Plant's not going to come in. They've got 9 seconds left to go to get that thing down, and Weber is going to. It's actually going to be Pulse, last man standing against these remaining players. So now for Reason, it's got to be about economy. They don't want to drop too many of these weapons because even with the $800, they are not necessarily going to be able to buy in the way that they would like. And got to be careful if Release can't... No, sorry, Pulse. Can't pull this one off. Look in the wrong direction at the moment, but if he picks up these 2 frags and gets a defuse, then it is going to be his 30 bomb going into the final round. He's going for it. He's got the one. Can he get the second? No, he can't. Doesn't quite look behind him in time. Dipan picks it up, and very, very narrowly, Reason Gaming are able to get themselves to 15, and Have a look at the buys. We've got utility all round, head armor, and actually that's a really good buy. They couldn't ask for much more, other than maybe an AWP, but the AWP hasn't been hugely effective on the T side for this map, so no complaints.
Yeah, that's going to be the big thing, and of course, Orgless, even though they did drop out that round, they're still looking fairly comfortable as well, and even able to bring out a double up setup, and awesome tags certainly in the exchange to kick things off. Pulse knocked down to just 34 HP as we do come into this last round, and it's all going to come down for which team can just play the better CS, and that's going to be the big question so far. And well, reason they were playing so strong, and then they really started to fall off, and now they've managed just to claw out that last needed round, but they still need one more, and for the Orgless side, they just made such an impossible comeback. It'd be such a shame for them to fail at the last hurdle, and that's potentially what we're about to be witnessing here, as of course 1 minute 10 left for us to find the results of this one out. It looks like Heater going to be going for a face-off straight on towards Rattlesnake. Yep, he has spotted him out, of course, so actually going to be choosing not to face it, so a little bit of a smart decision coming in from him there, as Orgless get themselves nice and comfortable, ready towards to hold their site, seeing if they can potentially get some information here with the release and PT, just playing that close mid-position around those smokes. And well, if we do see a bit of a mid-push coming in, that could certainly pay off quite well, and it could bode quite well as Depang be playing around the smoke there. Well, PT going to open things up with a frag straight off the bat, but Babe's going to be trading it back, and he's going to find himself a second as well on release. A little bit of a mistake coming in from him there, as he doesn't quite check his corner and not quite help his teammate out, which means Ryzen, they now start to take a bit of an advantage here. Orgless find themselves in a 3v4, and it's just looking so bleak at this point for both sides, really.
Yeah, it is, and Weber is so close to Rattlesnake. He had his back to Weber at one point, and the door had gone open just that fraction earlier than maybe. Pulse takes down Sliggy, and he's really just thrown misdirection. You see Rattlesnake gets on the move, and he misses his shot. He's just thrown off. He knows what's coming now. He will be calling this into his teammates as the plant needs to come in, and they're going into the default spot, I think, and going to get that plant down in the hands of Keita, and he does. Now they've just got to defend this thing off. Rattlesnake gets one. They've got to be careful with this AWP. They've got to try and just sit in if they can. And Weber, he gets a frag on Mighty Max. That's one angle where they can't come in from. You see Rattlesnake, he's trying to work something, but he's flashed off, and there's Weber trying to make that frag. Pulse coming in now as well. So we've got the double AWPs, and they've got to try and, oh wow, they get it in tandem, and we do have an overtime. Whew.
Such a close game to be watching. The first thing I could see in this round was that it could literally swing either way. Even in that 4v3, I felt like it could quite literally go any direction. Well, Orgless once again, they've picked themselves up at the last hurdle. They scooped themselves up, and they found the round that they so needed. 15-15 being the scoreline, and well, this just brings back an interesting memory. I don't know if you watched DreamHack Summer 2013, but there was two Swedish teams that played each other, Team X and Refused, and it was a pretty exciting one at that. It was, of course, the NIP lineup at the time, and they presented a pretty epic game at that went to 4 overtimes, I believe, and that was on D2. And I'm getting a bit of flashbacks right now over on towards Cashier across you, because it's just been a complete intense game that's just flew back and forth, left, right, and centre. With neither team really, just being decisive enough to walk away with a strong round lead after Reason, just dropped off.
And I can kind of see where you're going with that, because both these teams have swung as far as the advantage goes, but I think for August, the way that they are going, now things are very much in their favour, and it's going to be advantage them as far as the momentum goes, if nothing else. Let's see what they do with that opportunity, as Pulse catch one and Keita able to pick up a frag on PT, so they're trying to switch this one back as well. Snake now takes down Bates, so we end up trading backwards and forwards, and it's kind of like a HP trade as well. Keita on 11 points of health, Rattlesnake is down to 12 with his AWP in hand, so both those guys got to be fearful of nades as release. He's taking down the 75 Weber and pushing in from the mid. He's got a chance to make a play on Mighty Max, and does. That was a very crisp headshot and good control with the rifle. Releaser, he trades straight back, and Pulse looking in the direction, but Pulse goes down as well. Has he got himself 30 bomb yet? Yes, he has, and Weber has the play, and Reason very comfortably in the end. They're just kind of frag hunting these players that are just all just trying to cut off the angles, maybe thinking about where their rotator is going to come from, and it's too easy for Reason to pick them off.
Well, yeah, a couple of strategical misplays coming in from the Orgless side, and Reason Gaming playing very crisp with their aim play style, just really finding those frags, and well, that's going to be the thing that allows them to pick up this first round of overtime. But of course, still 2 more rounds to take place so far, and Depang comes millimeters close from picking up a frag with the AWP there through the smoke, but doesn't quite, just manage to pick up the frag there. So unfortunately, odds quite not in his favour this time around now, as it looks like, they're just getting themselves nice and comfortable to hit towards that B site, and Pulse is going to throw a couple of defensive flashes out, making sure that, reason they know they've got something to contest against here, and well, the push on A is going to come out as well. So some beautiful reactive map control plays coming out from the Orgless side there, as Rattlesnake is able to find one for himself. And well, now Pulse and Release, they're going to be getting themselves nice and comfortable over towards the back of that B site. So not going to be doing anything too aggressive now, as they know they have they know a push is going to be coming in effect. The reason they went for that reactive A main push was because they certainly got the hint that it was going to be something towards B, and well, it's paid off, so that it sort of has been confirmed. And well, by Sliggy throwing that smoke, the story already has been given up. But what Orgless may fail to notice here is that bomb is actually over an A main.
Yeah, sure is. And Sliggy, again, he's just throwing the misdirection. His push is maybe going to come in on this A site at some point. It's again the same fear that we're worried about with Reason. They're just a little bit slow on the uptake as far as making their play. Sliggy's trying to get the angle and missing that shot. He's left himself in a bit of trouble. And now they're going to be thinking about where this is coming from. And I think they know they're already on that bike making their way towards the A. So if Reason want to make a move, they've got to go now. 30 seconds is not enough time from what we're seeing from them so far. But Keita, he's got one. You've got information from that nade as well. Picks up the frag on Mighty Max. And now the plant is going to come in. 3v3. It is now the situation as the plant at the back of A. We've got Release, Rattlesnake and Pulse. Release, if he catches a nade, might be in trouble, but Pulse is already leading the charge. He's going maybe just a little bit too quick compared to his teammates, but if he's going to pick up a frag, who cares? Rattlesnake completely blind over towards the yellow. He gets one both before Keita picks him up, so now they've got 2 versus 1. Release is maybe one shot away from going down to Keita. He's got the AWP in hand, maybe too much firepower in the situation. He'd be better off with a rifle, but we shall see. He goes for the play and he's got the... oh no, Keita on the 4K. Tries to go for the 5, but Pulse in the end is able to clean it up. And wow, they needed that if he's got enough time, which he does. Half a second, if that. And Pulse, he's leading the charge. 34 and 20 is his score. Orgless bringing it back to 16 all. And look at that money. It's still kind of tight. They needed to pick that one up.
Yeah, we're starting to see, a little bit of a shard of the Reason gaming that we once saw come back into play, so at least it's nice to see them, making those big plays, but it seems to already come down to Keita there, and he did find some beautiful picks with the AWP, but he needs his team to start supporting him if Reason gaming, of course, want to walk away with this victory here. And well, Orgless, they managed to make the best of that one, just clutching out by the skin of their teeth, and well, in this one, Rattlesnake just doing the work once again, finds himself the opener on towards the Pan. He's been able to solidly do as he finds himself in second, while straight into the left as well, so already another frag going to be rolling him, as Sliggy now patiently looking with the AWP, seeing if he can maybe find a frag on towards Release. And well, this could be a good thing for the Reason side. If they can pick this one off, then they can bring themselves back into this one, and maybe potentially just try and pick up a couple of frags here. And well, we can always hope that that does work out in their favour, as he's just going to be patiently looking towards that angle. Rattlesnake though, M4 in hand, going to be tagging through Squeaky there, just seeing what he can and can't get away with, or checkers, should I say. Sorry, a couple of issues there. We did of course get to catch up straight off the bat though, so not really going to interrupt us too much as Release now going to come in with a frag on towards Sliggy as we fall straight into a 2v5, and Reason not looking so strong this time around, really just not really being handed too much of an advantage situation as they fall themselves down with a pretty much a big disadvantage out of that, as it's just going to be Keita and Weber, 2 rifles in hand, trying to keep the dream alive of course, and it's going to be a pretty tough one at that so far, as those 2 Molotovs certainly going to be good for them to try and play with here. 2 rifles to really try and make the best of, as well as they are going to be going for those faces, looking for those frags, but it doesn't matter as PT's going to find the first. Keita will find himself 1, but not long before he gets knocked down to just 2 HP. Time though, going to be ticking down, and Orgless, they're actually going to connect the frag, which will mean they pick up that last round of the first half of overtime. So some good stuff coming in from them so far. It is of course going to mean we're going to be rolling into that second half very, very soon, once both teams have got themselves nice and comfortable. And we are aware there's a couple of issues going on with what you guys can watch, but we are hard at work with sorting it out. So in the meantime, just bear with us, and we're just going to go with the flow and see what happens, of course. And what an exciting game we've been able to watch so far. 16-17 being the scoreline. Thrown onto their CT side now, and Orgless on the other hand being thrown straight back into that T side. We have seen both teams be exceptionally strong on both of these sides here, so still all to play for, and it all comes down to them really being able to play this one absolutely perfectly. And well, that's going to be the big thing, of course. It looks like Orgless are getting themselves over towards the A site early on, just getting themselves that full A main control, as Sliggy just ready and waiting, going towards that rotate out towards Highway, throwing a nade in towards Squeaky, just making sure Pulse knows that he should just be a little bit careful of where he's going to be facing towards. Pulse though going to be tagging through the door, trying to make the best of the situation. See if he maybe can find a little bit of tag damage to be done, just making that A push, just a little bit more easier for their T side as they try and, of course, get ready to push themselves in. PT over on boost, just going to be throwing a flash out in mid there, seeing if potentially he can get himself up towards highway. But the problem for him is it's going to be Depan who's just going to be contesting that one, just waiting patiently for the opportunity to set himself up as Keita ready and waiting as well as PT will connect the frag on towards him. Well, now the A push will roll out, of course, and Pulse manages to find one as well. It's just looking so strong now from the Orgless side. They just connect the frags all over the place, and albeit Pulse knocked down to just 10 HP, but even then, is it going to be enough now as the push will, of course, roll in the bomb, going to be going down, and Reason Gaming looking to try and retake this site now. Weber, Depan, and Baith, the 3 men left alive, the 3 musketeers trying to make this one happen. They have an AWP, 2 rifles left to play with, but they still have to find these frags, and of course Weber will open up with a frag on towards Pulse, so not going to be the end of the world just yet now, as Baith now going to be pushing in through that smoke, and with the aggressive route it could potentially spell a pretty dark end for the Reason siders. With Depan will eventually find a frag on towards Reese, but not before he falls, as Rattlesnake finds himself a frag as well. Well, that's that one done and dusted. Orgless playing very, very strong. They get themselves to match point in the US overtime, and it's all the massive potential now for Orgless to try and close this one out. It's going to be a fairly slow start. Both teams, of course, just going in with some fairly lucid buys. It's going to be 5 rifles for August to try and play with here. Reason, of course, going to be getting the AWP up on Sliggy and those rifles to play with on everyone else. So not really too much to talk about there. Suffice to say, they've been fairly solid buys that we've seen them. Both teams, in fact, do a fair good chunk. And well, Orgless, they've certainly opted not to use the AWP much at all on their T side, which is could be said to be both a bad and a good decision. It's not really paid off for them too much. So, they have found a good success, and of course they find themselves 2 rounds up against Reason, so it certainly is going to be they can't really complain too much, I guess, of course, as the time going to be ticking away, just waiting to see what the force they can get away with. And well, Sliggy going to open things up with a beautiful shot on towards release now, but Max going to be trading things straight back with a frag on towards him. And now we find ourselves back to a 4v4. Well, PT hungry, he's going to be looking for more in mid, trying to make the best of this situation. He's got that HG to play with, but it doesn't matter. Max is going to bend his shot through the smoke there and connect a shot on towards Weber, as PT now shoved up against the wall, practically blocked off by Molly there, and Keita, he's so hungry, looking for this frag, but he's going to find one, but not before Dipan manages to trade it back. August looking so strong. A 4v2 as well, made that a 3v2 of course, but Dipan and Baith, it's all on them to try and clutch this one out for the Reason side. They need to push in and find this defuse, and it's all going to be on that highway positioning, and Rattlesnake going to take him down. Pulse taking that one down as well, and well, that was that one done and dusted. They take that map 19-16. What a beautiful way to watch things kick off. August just playing it so strong. It went back and forth every single time. There's not a single team who really stepped up to the plate and managed to close it out early on, and well, it certainly gave us an exciting map to watch. But in the meantime, we're going to be taking a bit of a short break here, as of course we do have a second map to join you guys with. I believe it's going to be Mirage, which of course will be Orgless's pick. So it's going to be another exciting pick for them, what map should I say, for them to watch. But in the meantime, of course, we're going to be taking a little bit of a break, work on a couple of these issues so that you guys don't get your stream interrupted for you anymore. But in the meantime, enjoy the music, I guess.